A lot of us start the day by checking email. And when we do that, we're immediately at the behest of other people's priorities. And that can just go all day long, right? You could spend all day getting the little stuff done, what I call letting the day happen to you. And then you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, another day has passed where I made no headway on this major project. And we all know where that ends up. It's, a crunch time where we're pulling an all-nighter to get it all done, right? So one thing that I work with my clients is shifting that time so that you're spending your first part of your workday. So whether you can do a half an hour, whether you can do an hour, whether you can do an hour and a half, whatever is that first part of your workday, focusing on those large projects, whatever that large project is for you, focusing on the most important thing before you check email and messages. And that's the key, because if we just pull our phone off of our bedside table and start scrolling and looking at our email, even if we're not answering them at that time, once, on our commute, once we get to work, that's what's in our head. Oh, I got to answer that guy. I have to do this thing for her. We're not, and then those things, even though they're not more important, they seem more important because they're sitting there. What I've found is that many people are very afraid or anxious about not checking their email and messages first thing, because they're like, that's how I know what to do. How, something might have happened overnight. What I have found is that unless you're like, a doctor in some kind of like life-saving situation, whether you answer somebody's email at 8:30 in the morning or 9:30 or 10 o'clock, rarely makes a difference to them. Like, this is not a thing they even notice. But if you can spend that first hour and a half of the day making major headway on a project, that's going to be massively impactful for you. You can check Slack and your email as often as you want, but you don't want to be interrupted by those notifications. Because the reality is, there was a study done out of UC Irvine a few years ago that showed that when we get interrupted at work, and that's whether we're interrupting ourselves by going to check an email in the middle of working on a big document or something like that, or the endless pinging of notifications, every time we get interrupted, it takes us on average 23 minutes to regain focus on what we're doing. 23 minutes, not seconds, right? And so if you turn off those notifications, then you just have such fewer interruptions. You can still check your email every hour if you want to. I mean, I argue for checking your email twice or 3 times a day, but if you want to check it every hour, go right ahead. If you want to check Slack every half an hour, go right ahead. Just do it because it's on your schedule and not because somebody sent you a message, because they certainly weren't thinking about you and like what you're doing when they sent you the message.